All right, so we are here to talk about the 5 mindsets to be a successful leader. And to be honest, this recording, this training is really about seeing yourself as the vehicle for transformation in your business and in your life. One thing that I really understand about, making money or creating freedom or creating health or building a community of people that would want to work with you and hang out with you. It's not just your business structure, it's not just your business offer. In the end of the day, it's about who you are being as a person, right? In Chinese, right, we have a phrase that says, 要懂得做人, and this is really means know how to become a good person in a very direct translation of it. But what it really means is how do you become a person of integrity, and how do you actually become, fully human in a way. So there are 5 mindsets to think about, and you'll notice that in our space here, it's not just an online course, it's not just learning another program. Just being in the space in itself is already creating the work, the change, the transformation that you're looking for. Because there's something called when you're in close proximity with people, there's something called spillover effect. And when you're in a room of high performers, heart-centered leaders, people with integrity, or being around people that's healthy for you, you naturally will shift and change and become more of like these people. Because we are interconnected and we are wired. And if you want to go into the neuroscience of this, we have something called the mirror neurons in our head. And we start to embody certain qualities and values that resonates with us, especially, if we are part in a group that actually cultivates that. So if you're in this space, you're not just here to take something, you're also here to contribute your energy, your integrity, your mindset, and how you show up into the space. And without you understanding and knowing this, you're actually training yourself to become a different type of person. And there's nothing that is more powerful than being in an environment that shapes you. So that I have a phrase in my trainings, and you'll see this every now and then, and I'll mention this in the live sessions as well, is to create an environment to create you, right? Mindset is not forcing yourself to think a certain way. It's really becoming the identity that you want to become, that you adopt certain types of mindsets, certain types of worldview and perception and perspective on how you want to show up every single day. And yes, you can read it in a training manual. This is the 5 mindsets of how to be a successful leader. But I believe this is more than just words or more than just things that you want to think about. It's something that needs to be done in terms of habits, and something that needs to be you showing up to what needs to the sessions, you showing up to your life, you showing up to your business, to your family, to your partner, to your relationships, as well as everything that you care about. And these 5 mindsets that I have found is not something I've created or think about it. It's something that I've seen in leaders again and again and again from the different people that I've met. And when I ask them what is their secret to success, they'll say one of these 5 things, right? So let's go through the 5 mindsets, right? Number 1, I feel like, to be a successful leader, you have to have some level of vision, of being able to be a visionary, and you got to cultivate originality, right? That means that we don't look to copy other people, even though we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We, in a way, can be inspired by the people that we look up to. But in the end of the day, you have to see yourself as your own role model, right? You have to connect to the inner vision that you have about the world, about yourself, that's future-oriented, something that is personal to you, and something that is like bigger than you even. And it should scare you a little bit, having a big vision. And when you have that, you're actually cultivating something called, in my words, entelechy. And what that means is that your innate potential, or the innate intelligence inside of you, that knows how to become the best version of you. And this is why having a vision and authenticity and originality, they're just kind of like interconnected as one piece. You don't have to become someone you're not to succeed, right? In fact, personal growth is defined as this. is to become more of who you are, to become more wholesome. You don't have to add anything to yourself, and you don't have to remove anything about yourself or change anything about yourself. You actually have to become more of yourself and give yourself that full permission to be you, because guess what? Your authenticity is the thing that's going to outcompete everybody else. It's what makes you stand out in the market and in your community. People want you, actually. What you desire is desiring you. So from that perspective, think along the lines, how can you, when you come into this space, bring in your uniqueness, bring in your originality, bring in your creativity. No thoughts are dumb, this is where, we get to explore the treasure trove that you are, and then we can pick up on that, and then when you can reconnect to the essence of who you are and what that means for you, something starts to shift for you in the way you operate in the world, right? Number two, the second mindset is risk-taking and bias for action. And what I mean by this is to be ready to go all in and all out. And then, be in the world where you actually become a force of interruption. If you want to lead, you got to trigger people. You got to be okay making people feel awkward, right? Making yourself feel awkward. And then, in the end of the day, you can just laugh at it and have some humor around it. There's also this whole thing about speed of implementation. When you have an insight, you got to take action right away. You got to just go for it. And you only need 60% clarity to just go into something, and then just go all out with your full heart, right? And you don't have to be so caught up by the mistakes that you make. And even if there's mistakes, they are only feedback to become a better version of yourself. When you can just fail forward, but when you're biased for action, things will figure it out on its way, and you'll get more feedback, and you know how to tweak things even faster, rather than needing to have a perfect plan to write everything down and then you go take action. By the time you finish writing the plan, circumstances has changed and you need to tweak the plan again. This is why having a perfect business plan or life plan is not going to work. As long as you have a certain North Star that you're going towards to, it's good for you to take that certain action. The third mindset or third quality I feel like every leader needs to learn is emotional resilience and agility. Like, let me tell the difference between resilience and agility. Resilience is for you to be able to take up something over and over again, and for you to rise above it no matter what, right? It's the long-term game, it's the life marathon, as well as it's something that you'll see that no matter how things kind of suck and no matter how many times you have to go through it, you still stand up again and go through it, right? And agility is the speed to process those moments, learning from it really quickly and transform them into insights, and then you take action, right? Having emotional agility is going to help you grow very quickly, exponentially. And this is where, what does this look like? Is that you're super honest with yourself, right? When you made a mistake, you call it out by yourself and you make the shift right away. And you don't give excuses, right? You find ways to go like, oh my God, I screwed up, and you go into that vulnerability, that space that you need to be with yourself. Of course, sometimes it's really hard to actually accept that, and our nervous system sometimes needs time. But the less, excuses that you give to yourself, and you really just take it as it is, and you'll be resourced with, the sessions that we're gonna go into, especially the live ones, the faster you grow and faster you transform. The fourth mindset is the beginner's mindset, or developing something called humility, right? Humility to me is not putting yourself down, and humility to me is not hiding in the shadow, thinking that you're better than everybody else because you are humble, right? Humility to me is really understanding that you take pride in who you are and your process and your journey, but at the same time, right? At the same time, you have this ability to go like, oh my God, the more I know, the less I know, right? And then you go like, what else can I do to elevate myself? It's not just working on your strength, it's also working on the missing link or working on the weakness that is holding you back from the next level of your success. And it's really about becoming, that eternal student Because the moment you say that you know it all and you have it all and you're not investing in mentorship or someone better than you, that's the moment that you fall behind. That's the moment you're going to fall into your own trap. And that's the moment, doors is going to close for you. And this is where, the skill set of deeply listening, not just to your own inner wisdom, but to everything around you is really, really important. I feel like a lot of successful leaders, billionaires, and people who have created big impact in the world, they're always available to listen to everybody, even those who are insignificant, and they take those in as feedback. Last but not least is radical honesty and responsibility. This is one of the things that you see in the community standards for transformational spaces, is that you take full responsibility of your results, your successes, and your failures without blaming and shaming and judging, right? One of the most powerful things that I've learned in life is that no matter if, something happened to you and it's not even your fault, and it's like, and you want justice for it, the more justice you want from it, the worse it gets, right? Even though, the pain and the hurt that perhaps that you have experienced is pretty painful. But the moment you go like asking yourself this question of like, what if I created these circumstances, even if it's indirect, and you take ownership of every consequences in your life, something starts to shift. You stop waiting for external things or external power to solve that problem for you, and you proactively solve that problem for yourself. When you can make that shift and take full responsibility of whatever struggle that you have, rather than relying for some external things to help you deal with it, you're in control, right? And being in control helps you to figure out solutions even quicker, and you make the best out of it. Even though we can agree that, the external circumstances of life, there are things that you cannot control, and it's really not about going to this victim mode of like, things are bigger than me, so what can I do, right? It's really not going into that direction, but instead, what is one small thing that you can actually shift within yourself so that certain circumstances could be more acceptable, and eventually you get an insight that can actually transform that. I think the book Man's Search for Meaning, and written by Viktor Frankl, have definitely embodied this and shared this in his story, where he found love in concentration camps, right, back in World War II. It goes to show how powerful the human spirit can be, and how resilient someone can be when he has an ability to make meaning out of his life, to shift pain into something that is wise, as well as something that is serving the soul and serving his life, rather than drowning in it. Those who are able to take external circumstances that is out of their control into creativity are the people that will actually succeed in life and eventually come into that inner peace, transformation, success, wealth, prosperity, all of the above. Right? So these are all the 5 mindsets I feel like we need to cultivate as a successful leader. And like I said in the beginning, it's not really about thinking about it. It's really more of like, can you just show up to your life, and show up to the sessions, and being in an environment that cultivates all of this, you naturally will start to notice a shift in yourself. So from time to time, really come back to this training and really review these things to really give yourself, a self-reflection. How much of these mindsets are you cultivating from month to month? And eventually you'll notice that if these are foreign to you, eventually it becomes so familiar to you as you become a different leader than you first started, right? So this is the training of the 5 mindsets to be a successful leader, and really bring it to the session. And if you have any questions that you have about this thing, bring it to the live session. I'll be able to answer you, that is able to personalize to your situation and perhaps walk you out of your own little knot that you are currently experiencing in your life. I'll see you there.